Today on Outside the Box Reviews, we are taking a look at the Mezco Attack of the Living Dead Wave 1 Earl figure. I'm gonna come right out and say it, I gave a recommend to that Jake figure, but Earl feels like he's from a completely different wave of figures. He definitely fits in stylistically with Jake, but it feels like an action figure from 5 years later with some substantial improvements done to the overall creation of it. Now once again, this is one of the variants, this one having a darker skin tone. I also believe the head sculpt is unique, though I'm not exactly sure how many variants were done of this character. This is also the last of the Attack of the Living Dead figures I have to review at this time. There is one other figure in Wave 1, Helen. I have not had a chance to pick her up yet, but let's not talk about what we don't have. Let's take a closer look here at Earl. Just like Jake, Earl comes with a very realistic looking accessory, this time in the form of a human heart. And this is crazy. You have all the valves and arteries and everything coming through here. It's a great gory paint job, a nice gloss to it and different shades of reds and blacks in there. Just really make it look grotesque. I think this is very strange as well, seeing that we did get some hearts later on from a couple different Jason figures in the Cinema of Fear line, and they all looked very cartoony, and this is so weirdly realistic looking. I'm almost surprised they didn't just reuse this mold when it came time to do Cinema of Fear. But you know what's not realistic looking? This damn skull. This is goofy as hell. It's a blue coloration. We still have bits of meat clinging onto it in points, which I think is a cool effect. It's definitely not long enough, but you see it come down to the tailbone kind of thing back here. But it should definitely be longer than this to really be a full human spine. And there's no separation, of course, where the skull starts. It's all one solid piece. It has a goofy Pirates of the Caribbean, the ride kind of feel to it, but I like it in that goofiness. I mean, just to compare, because one just fell off the shelf above me, here on the left is the Predator trophy skull, and yeah, you can see a big difference here in the artistic stylization. Last but not least are Earl's guts. These are awesome, a big rubbery chunk of intestines. It's kind of this big blocky part on the end, and it gets all stringy and clumps back up, it gets stringy again. Something I'd definitely be careful with, because it feels like you could rip these pretty easily if you weren't careful with them, but what a nasty, gross, cool accessory. And the best part is, you could store them in Earl. Here on his stomach, we have a big gaping wound, and we can just take those guts and stuff them in there. And we just have them leaking out of his torso. That is sick. That is awesome. Absolutely love it. Now, the head sculpt Mezco did on Jake is a very stereotypical mindless evil zombie. Earl's head sculpt has this really weird Frankenstein's monster-esque empathetic look going on with it. There's a sense of sadness here in the face sculpt, and I really like that because I feel like we don't get that too often with zombie action figures. Usually when somebody makes a zombie, they're going for that bloodthirsty, gonna eat your brains look. But I can't help but look at Earl here and kind of feel bad for him. We do have the one eye popping out of the socket with the retinas hanging on there, his yellow teeth. Really good paint job here on his skin. It's a mix of browns and yellows and greens to make him look rotten and decay. You can see the side of his cheek is rotted away, so you can see more teeth in there. There's blood everywhere. He's got his dead eye there. We got some good wrinkles up there in the forehead, some veins coming over the side of his head as well. Bigger neck with some nice meaty chunks kind of taken out of it there. A lot of hair on it for some reason. I don't know why I can't get that to come off. It keeps clinging back onto him. We've got a chunk taken out of his shoulder, so I almost wonder if this is the bite mark of what turned Earl. Got some skull exposed up there as well. Back of this figure just looks crazy. We've got veins coming out of it. He's definitely a heavier guy, so just all kinds of different weird things going on with his skin here. Coming up over the top of his belt there. The arms continue that look. A lot of different colors mixed in here. Some more bloody points. Another place that could have been the bite that turned him. He's got big grasping hands, more veins and thick yellow nails on there. Same detail going on the other side. Some more bloody effects going on his chest. It almost looks like he was shot. We got marks here that almost look like bullet holes. We got zombie nipples, because we also need those. And then going down a little further, we got zombie belly button on his torn up torso, which is detailed on the inside. It's really hard to see, but there is red paint and sculpted detail in there, which is really cool. And we've got his pants, a lot of nice wrinkles sculpted in there. Similar to what we've got with a lot of other Mezco figures. We've got his exposed knees where the pants have ripped, torn up at the bottom, and he has one foot that's bare, similar to Jake, with the veins going through there and the toenails, and then one foot is still in a shoe. We even have a sock in there. I like that attention to detail. It's a really really cool a little bit. And it would have kind of bugged me if both male zombies here had no shoes. That would have just seemed like a strange artistic choice. So as far as the sculpted and painted detail, both of these Attack of the Living Dead figures so far have been pretty even, but Earl jumps way ahead in his articulation. Head's on a ball joint, he'll look pretty far down, really far up. He goes side to side, as well as tilt. Pin socket arms, they'll go out to the side really far, forward and back. Because his arms are chunkier and so is his torso, he can't really get them down all the way, but I wouldn't really expect him to based on the sculpt. Really nice joint here at the elbow that bends almost 90 degrees. The hands are on ball joints so they can rotate as well as hinge in and out, which I absolutely love. We have a mid-torso joint here just below his boobs, so he can swivel side to side as well as rock a little bit forward and back side to side. Legs are on ball joints, so they'll go forward, back, as well as out to the side. We have a decent bend there at the knee, and then his feet are on ball joints. And here we have Earl next to Jake, and you can see Earl is probably just about as tall as Jake if he was standing full height, but definitely a lot bigger of a guy. But they work pretty well in scale with one another, and I think they'd work pretty well with any other horror character. Earl, I actually think, works a bit better if you were to put him next to some other zombie figures, especially with his darker skin tone. I don't know if Jake would have felt the same with a darker skin tone, but he just seems to blend in a little better and not quite look so cartoony because the colors are more muted. And like I said before, I recommended Jake. I give Earl a high recommend. He was an incredibly, surprisingly enjoyable figure. Between his crazy accessories, especially those ridiculous guts, and the overall sculpt and paint applications, plus the improved articulation, it's just a phenomenal figure. Once again, I wouldn't plop down big bucks on him. I think this is one of those figures that you should be able to find pretty easily for a good price, mostly because it's not a super well-known or well-remembered line. But I think it's definitely worth picking up for hardcore horror fans, especially ones that enjoy Mezco's stylized look. And I really do feel like I need to go pick up that last figure, that Helen. So I think I'm going to have to hit eBay looking for that one. Make sure you follow me on Instagram, username Outside the Box Reviews. Also check me out on Facebook, link below. And until next time, this has been their Outside the Box Reviews. When there's no more room in hell, the dead will review action figures on Earth.